Listen, I already know that there's probably been a time in your life when you feel that God hasn't really been there for you. You've probably asked questions like, will I ever be healed of this illness? Will I be able to pay my bills on time tomorrow? Or why do I still feel lost and confused despite going to church every week, praying every day, and reading my Bible every night? Even the strongest Christians can sometimes find themselves questioning how we're supposed to believe that God will sustain us when we're always having to wait around for Him to act. Well, these types of thoughts and questions remind me of Psalm 104. This entire psalm celebrates God as the sustainer and creator of all things. And there's one verse in particular that can really speak to us in verse 27, which reads, "All creatures look to you to give them their food at the proper time." The key phrase that really sticks out to me here is "at the proper time." Other translations might use the phrase "in due season" to refer to agriculture and growing food. But both of these phrases originally come from a Hebrew word known as eighth, which is used throughout the Old Testament to refer to a specific time of an event. And this is why this is such an important part of the Bible to remember when we feel that God is not taking care of us. The Lord is the ultimate sustainer of all things. And just because we can't see God working in our lives doesn't mean that He's neglected us or that all hope is lost. If we feel that God hasn't fulfilled His promises to us or given us the provision that we need in our lives, it's probably because it's simply not the eighth, the proper time. In other words, the proper time hasn't arrived yet, but it will in due season. All of this is very reminiscent of another verse found in the Old Testament written by the prophet Habakkuk. Here, the prophet Habakkuk became very frustrated when he felt that God was taking way too long to fulfill the vision that He had given him about the nation of Judah. And when Habakkuk asked God why He was taking so long to fulfill the vision, God responded with one of my favorite lines in the entire Bible, which is this: "If it seems slow, wait for it." Boy, that is a command that is so easy to hear, but is so hard to do. And it's something that even the prophet Habakkuk had to practice thousands of years ago. But even today, we too have to follow Habakkuk's example and try to put this same idea into practice. If God's plan seems slow, wait for it. If you believe that God is faithful and all-knowing, then you must also believe that He has appointed a specific time for His plans to come to fruition. There's a proper time for us to receive God's provision, and we have to be ready to receive it once it's available. Which leads me to the next thing. I want to jump back to Psalm 104 again and look at the next line on verse 28. After we read that God gives us our food at the proper time in verse 27, we then read this in verse 28. "When you give it to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are satisfied with good things." God's metaphorical hand here represents His personal involvement in our lives. When He offers His hand to us, it's then our responsibility to gather up the food. Then, after we've waited for the proper time, the eighth, we will be satisfied with good things. So whether you feel like God has abandoned you, His plan for you is taking too long, or that He just hasn't given you the provision that you need in your life, remember this: if God's plan seems slow, wait for it. He will give it to you at the proper time. It'll surely come, and it will not delay. Amen. Hello everyone, and thanks for sticking around to the end. And if you found any value in this video, please consider clicking the like and subscribe buttons and that little bell icon so that way you don't miss a word. Also, please feel free to leave a comment down below and share this video with others. Who knows, maybe it'll be a blessing to somebody that you know. Anyways, I appreciate you all and hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.